Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tadaima, Terrace House Podcast, your weekly companion to your favorite show on Netflix. I'm Robert Scarpanito, and I'm joined here by Daily Wilhelm.
Konbanwa.
Jack Cepeda.
Irashaimase.
And Colin Sparling.
Hello, everybody. Hope you and yours are doing well.
Real quick, guys, off the top, we want to thank everyone that has left us an iTunes review, a written review so far. We're getting some great feedback here. And just a quick reminder to everyone, if this might be the first episode you're hearing in a while, we are running a brand new contest to win a brand spanking new pair of Apple AirPod Pros. And so this is for real. And so if that is enticing to you, or if you're maybe not into the AirPods, we would also give you a Amazon gift card of equal value. The only thing you have to do to enter the contest is please leave us a written review on the Apple Podcasts app or on iTunes on your laptop or PC. And then once you leave that, let us know via social channels or Discord, whatever, what your screen name is, and we will have your entry down. And so if you're waiting and seeing, well, maybe now's not a good time, just do it now, because the sooner you're in, then the more you're guaranteed that spot to get the AirPods. And so yeah, we're excited about it. And like I said, we got some good reviews coming in. Wanted to share one right now, a very thoughtful review. This is from Kaleido Kingdoms. He wrote this on the 17th of January, 2020. We're already in 2020 now.
2020.
Yeah, it's still weird, but hey. So this is his review. The best Terrace House podcast out there. I was looking for a great Terrace House podcast to listen to and went through a few different ones before I stumbled upon Tadaima. And I can very easily say that it's my favorite out of all of them. Not only do they have hilarious takeaways from the show, but they're also very insightful to the fate of future episodes and the backstories to particular house members. They consistently keep me entertained, and I'm always excited for a new episode. It's also very well produced, despite the fact that they seem to be lacking the sponsorships that similar podcasts often have. Parentheses, get them a sponsorship now. Agreed. Yes, please do it. But it's clear that a lot of love and laughs go into the making of these episodes, and it makes my workday much more entertaining to get through. Definitely give Tadaima a listen if you're a Terrace House fan, and I'm sure that you'll be as hooked as I've been. Kaleido Kingdoms, thank you so much for the thoughtful review, and we have your contest entry in. You are in the running for the AirPod Pros. We wish you luck, sir. And so again, guys, we're excited here.
Or ma'am.
Yeah, what's fun is that words like theirs remind me that I'm so proud of the show that we do, and I'm so happy that so many people listen to it. And also, hey Casper, hey Squarespace, if you're if you're listening,
we're here.
If you're out
Audible.
there,
NordVPN.
I'm just saying we all use beds. We can talk about beds.
Yeah. I will say this. I mean, yeah, our goal is to make this as professionally sounding as possible, but we are all amateurs at this. We have some previous podcasting experience, but we all are doing this for the love of the game and the love of the show. And so we are just very thankful to have found an audience, and we are excited to make it grow.
That's why I'm so excited to announce that this episode of Tadaima is not sponsored by Slack, but instead, we're talking about episode 17 of Tokyo 2019-2020.
Yeah.
This is not a place to slack.
Ever.
Indeed.
Amazing.
It will be a place to slack once they sponsor us.
Get it? Because Slack, Indeed, both job things.
I was not going for that, but thank you for throwing in another name that will not sponsor us ever.
Job stuff.
Guys, I need a job.
Sponsor Colin.
Sponsor
Colin needs a sponsorship.
with employment.
Listen, if you sponsor me, then I will do this show full time. So I will carry this show.
Yes.
This week's episode is, again, okay, so this is the narrative that we've been going on for like the past 5 weeks almost. What is the darndest thing Ruka's going to do this week that'll take up all of our time? And I promise you, he will probably take up far more of our time this episode. It's so... He's just an unfortunate soul. He really
This episode is like
not-
75% Ruka.
God. And it's not like we're looking to nitpick, like, oh, he said that weird. It's like, it's very outrageous, continuous things that it's just like, dude, stop. I'm worried about you.
Like, if I still have this stuff on like Reddit or something, like, bro, you posted cringe.
But let's dive in. Let's kick it off. Let's go to the panel where the first thing I noticed is that Yama got a haircut and it looks really good. And I dig this dapper new look he's got going on with the sweatshirt and the haircut.
He's
A married man.
Yeah.
He is a
Yeah.
married man.
He's got to look nice and clean for
It
his
suits
lady.
him.
Tokui, I love this. It's always fun when the panelists shout out anyone outside of Japan, you know? And he talks about how when Ruka was showing his drawings to Emika, he was like, there was silence everywhere, even in America. And I'm like,
and there
he
was.
knows.
It was
He
cringy
knows.
worldwide. And this was one of, I think this is a good episode to shine a light on Tokui. You know, I mean, we all know what's going to happen here in a few weeks. Not trying to draw too much attention to that, but this is one of his best episodes, I think. And he starts off really quickly talking about, hey, Ruka might be already leaking threads out of his wrist. And it's like, what did they say? In so many words. But then Tori-chan's like, please don't say Ruka's leaking threads. It's like, it was hilarious though. Tokyo was on fire this week.
Oh yeah, he's so good, and we're definitely gonna miss him after all of that goes down, right? But he also does bring up something that I wanna ask, I guess, both Colin and Jack here about. Tokui mentions that he wants to hear Emika, her whole like, oh, let's get a beer. He wants to hear that in binaural sound.
Binaural.
Do you guys do you want to explain that to me?
Go ahead.
So binaural sound is essentially it's a special audio recording process where it's supposed to simulate human ears. So it's essentially like a setup where there's mics on each side, and the mics are usually surrounded by a shape that resembles an ear, actually. So it's supposed to capture sound in the most realistic way possible. And so when you hear it back, it's as if you're essentially hearing the sound as you would hear it if you were in that space with that sound that's happening.
And the best way for me to experience this, and a lot of videos or content that's made specifically for VR, is recorded in this manner, so that when you're there, you're watching it, you're experiencing it as if you were there.
So
Exactly. 3D audio.
It's almost like an ASMR thing, because I noticed that some ASMR artists have like that, like literally they look like ears, like these mics that they speak into.
Mm-hmm.
So Tokui wants Emmy to be like, "Biru o nomitai." Like just like whispered.
I mean, that was
ear.
a moment for her. You know, we talk. Shohei talks about it, but later, and we talked about it a lot when she was popping that hip last week.
It was pretty alluring.
It was a
or in the
moment,
words
yeah.
of, you keep saying like erotic. She's very erotic. Erotic.
Yeah, that comes up again in this episode. So let's
a moment.
trek forward, shall we? We're in the first floor. We're with Pepe and Ruka, and I'm starting to think Pepe is becoming the dad of the house, specifically for Ruka. Ruka needs a new father figure. And in the house, it's Pepe, because Pepe's teaching him a little bit. He's teaching him about manga, showing him like, oh, this is the notebook I use to outline my stories, and et cetera, et cetera. And it was kind of a nice moment. It was the only moment this episode where I felt like Ruka was learning anything, really.
This is the moment that I was hoping was going to happen since Pepe came into the house. I was hoping we got this exact moment where it was showing Pepe doing this with Ruka.
And also, you know, last week I was coming in hot with the Pepe skepticism, but after this episode, it's kind of like, all right, he seems pretty pure in his intentions and he seems pretty nice. And so he's kind of winning me back here, Pepe is. And it also didn't hurt that he pulled out Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. I was like, what?
Y'all, I don't know if y'all noticed, but in his introductory, like, the Shinjin Chin's shot, when he was on the phone with his mom, inside his phone case is, I think it was Arbok. It's an Arbok Pokemon card. So boy's
that's cool.
a Pokemon nerd. I'm digging it. He's just
nerd.
continually scoring points.
He's on the Poke train.
Yeah.
He's catching all of our hearts with Master Balls.
He's starting to win me.
And I will say, it's funny how just one little thing can change the way you look at someone, you know, even though you've sort of known them, quote unquote, for the past 16 weeks. But when Haruka, you know, she comes home, she talks about like, oh, I went to the Pokemon Center, which, if y'all remember, was like those things that Nintendo did over last summer to just kind of, basically you're like living in the Pokemon world for a little bit so they could advertise Pokemon Sword and Shield. She showed Pepe some pictures on her phone, and the back of her phone case was Eevee. And I'm immediately like, Haruka's good. I like her now. She's great. She's a perfect human being now.
Any issue she had before has been wiped away by Pokemon.
Forget that she goes after guys just because other girls like them. Pokemon, though.
Right. And then our boy Pepe just whips out a copy of Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. And the way he pulls it out is just like, has that always been there? And then he pulls it out and he's just like, look what I have. Like he's showing it off for the camera. like
they're
definitely sponsored.
Yeah, there is no way that was not planned as a sponsored segment. And then also it got me thinking like, hey, what was that thing that Aeropol? Apero, that liquor was? Like, how often are you in the kitchen with someone who you intend to pour a drink for and you just happen to put the bottle's label out on the front of the table? You know, you're like, that's so weird, right? But that's exactly how it was. It was totally like, here's this drink. Boom, on the table, label facing the camera conveniently. It was definitely suspect.
Do you think that extends to, because every time Pepe cooks pasta, he's using like Barilla pasta, like the Italian label and everything. Do you think that Pepe has like a ton of like merch deals that he's like trying to promote while he's here?
How often do you guys go label out when you're in the kitchen doing shit? Almost never. For me, it's almost facing me, not the camera, you know?
You
have a camera in your kitchen?
Do you not?
We all have cameras in our kitchen.
We have microphones.
Yes.
So are you positing here, Jack, that we traded out Kenny Surf for Pepe Apero?
Maybe he has his own grocery store he's working on opening soon, because it's all just like groceries and video games.
And Pokemon.
Yeah.
Hey, if he's making that money, power to him. I think this is the first time, though, because we've always seen that they've had a PS4 in the house, right? We've seen the DualShock 4s laying around in their playroom and stuff like that. And I think we might have saw someone playing like FIFA or something one time. But I think this is the only time we've seen a game explicitly being shown on screen, along with like the Switch logo and everything. Right?
Did they show the game on screen? I don't remember seeing that.
They didn't show
gameplay, but they showed the case.
Yeah, I mean, this is the most a couple has played a video game since Shion and Tsubasa did the PS4 commercials. I feel like there usually aren't couple moments here,
and that wasn't even on the show either. That was just a thing they did.
I know that's just like a segment. But what I'm saying is, this was definitely like, hey, look how cool this is to play with a girl, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I really liked that moment when they went up to the playroom and played Pokemon Let's Go, even though we didn't see it, which to me is weird, because if we're going to go with that whole advertising, like this is a paid advertisement, why not show off the gameplay, right? Like, it's right there.
Yeah. It literally felt like a Switch ad.
Kind of.
A little bit.
And it's and it's like, you know what, though? I mean, video games have definitely been in my life like a way to bond with people, right? And play with them. And so almost every serious girlfriend or anything like that I had was also kind of a serious gamer. So they were usually better than me at games, beating my ass.
Yeah, I like this moment only because it was a marriage between two things that I'm big fans of, like gaming. I think I can speak for all of us that gaming is a really big part of all of our lives, right? And I think it was just cool to finally see it kind of take center stage for a little bit in Terrace House instead of being that peripheral weird extra thing that they offhandedly mention once every blue moon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so do you guys think that if Pepe's still in the house like months down the line, when Sword and Shield comes out, do you think that's going to happen too in the house?
Oh shit!
We'll see if he's there.
Yeah,
I hope so.
What if they get the game here like, this is terrible?
Dexit.
Yeah, Dexit.
And then we'll eventually get his opinion on the DLC.
And it seems like Haruka also, plays Pokemon Go on her phone too, right? Didn't she show him? Yeah, she went to the Poke Center, right?
Yeah, I think she was just showing him pictures though that she took at the Pokemon Center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I read that as like she bought some plushies.
Didn't she say that? I'm pretty sure she did. She said, I bought a bag and a plushie.
Because she was like, I had Squirtle, I had a bag with Eevee on it, I had
Bulbasaur,
she got all 3 Kanto starters, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Gotta say though, the fact that Eevee is her phone case, that's pretty good. I'm a big fan of Eevee, so I like you, Haruka. You're doing a good job. You're doing good now.
I'm Team
doing
Pikachu,
good.
but
people in Japan like Pokemon. Who would have guessed?
Same. And then after they're done playing in the Pokemon in the playroom, they come back downstairs and they find Emmy, who just came home from a beach trip. She was just at the beach. Her hair smells like the ocean. It's wonderful. And this is interesting because when Haruka and Pepe were playing Pokemon, Haruka was like, oh, hey, we should go to that cafe you talked about, right? Haruka's basically saying, let's go on a date. Let's set that up. And Pepe's like, hell yeah, let's do it. And now downstairs, right in front of Haruka, Pepe is like, hey, Emmy, we should go to the beach sometime. You just went to the beach, but let's go again because I want to go with you and see you in your bathing suit.
Talk about Uchi Week.
Yeah, I was getting some Pepe Week vibes there for sure. I was like, oh shit. No, he didn't.
But he's totally shy, right, guys? He's shy when it comes to women.
He's shy.
Late bloomer. I want to change. Italians aren't smooth. I'm changing that perception.
In his defense, you know, he had already mentioned like he really wanted to go to the ocean, and like no one seems interested in that except for Emmy. So like maybe he's not thinking about dating and gender. He's just like, I just want to go see the ocean.
He likes her too. I mean, she's caught his eye, I feel, and Shohei's. Yeah, we'll get into it. But also something interesting here. Yeah, something interesting here is that Haruka and Peppe very clearly say that one of the Pokemon, I can't remember the name, was cute. Eevee was cute or something like that. I think Eevee,
yeah.
You're right. And then Emmy, I'm going to mix them up without me too much. Yeah. Emmy says, did you mean Haruka's cutes? What was that, dude? It's like, no, they clearly said the Pokemon was cute. I felt like that was kind of like a side jab in a way, like a tease, yeah. To feel out the sitch.
It's funny though, because Haruka is the one who comes in the defense and is like, no, we're talking about the Pokemon. So Pepe doesn't need to say anything, you know?
That was some girl world stuff going on there, don't you think?
Maybe. I definitely think it was a line she threw out there to get a vibe from the room.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was unnecessary.
It was unnecessary. It was kind of it was like very much like skated over too. Just kind of threw out there and then.
Which I'm glad for. Honestly, I don't want to dwell on that. That made me like, ooh, for that moment.
Same.
Dude, I would love to see some drama, some love triangle going on here. This could be a triangle in the making.
We'll find out, right? In future episodes. But for now, I want to dwell on something else. The first part of Haruka taking over our show. So we go over the shitro. I think this is actually the first time I've listened to the full shitro since maybe the first episode. And I kind of forgot what the chorus sounded like until I heard it. I was like, is this the thing that I've been hating this whole time? And I still hate it.
Yes.
By the way,
I thought you were going to say, it's not that bad.
I want to say that if this is the first episode of our podcast you listen to, when we're saying the shitro, we're talking about the shitty intro music to this season is the shitro now.
I'm a fan of portmanteaus. What can I say? But
the people in the intro look good for reference.
True. We get into the Good Vibes Bar in Shimokitazawa. I like the name. I think it's a fun name, and we're there with Ruka, and this is the Marvel themed bar. You just look at it and you see Captain America's shield everywhere and stuff like that. And he's talking with the manager, I believe, named Ryuichi Shirakami. And they're having a little interview. You know, it's pretty typical, right, for a job interview. Man, this is so hard. There's so many. Look, I thought Yudai from O&D was bad because his whole thing was, this restaurant is close, therefore I would like to work at it.
Shows up with shades and a hoodie on.
I will give Ruka points. He dressed up somewhat appropriately.
He wore a polo.
Yeah, it was a pretty casual atmosphere, whereas the restaurant that Yudai interviewed at felt a little more dressy in comparison.
I feel like the manager was wearing flip-flops there, so it seemed like pretty casual.
Yeah, the manager of this bar was wearing a snapback, so I wasn't super worried about it.
Right. It was a snapback.
It's a comic book bar. You can't be suits and ties around.
Is Good Vibes like related to Marvel at all? I think that's just the name of the bar. I don't even know if it's a Marvel themed bar. It just happens to be a bar with a bunch of Marvel decorations. It seemed like more to me.
Yeah,
maybe like Marvel drinks.
It's like they
maybe
rebranded.
Some menus. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Good Vibes, to my knowledge, isn't really a big Marvel thing.
Yeah.
The closest I could think of is like Vibranium, maybe. Good Vibraniums.
Good Vibranium. They're in the middle of the transfer here.
I'm just saying that's a good bar name for a Marvel themed bar. Good Vibraniums.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Anyway, some of the things Ruka says in this job interview, I think we've all had our fair share of job interviews. I think we can all say they were bad. His answers, one of them, he's saying that he already straight up plans to quit his current job at Murasaki Sports.
Not good.
The guy's work. Like, really?
Yeah.
Majde.
He gave him like an out, and Ruka doubled down. Was like, yeah, I'm going to quit there because I want to work here full time. And by full time, I just mean 2 to 3 days a week.
Yeah, 2 to 3 days. Like, nice,
What
dude. You
else?
must
Like-
not need money.
I was
Dang.
going to say, what else is he doing?
Not school. He's learning. He's
Not
taking English
school.
lessons, but I don't know.
And that's new. That's a new thing. That's not even like, because like he was only working part-time at Murasaki Sports. So it's like, what are you doing other than sleeping for the rest of your time?
Maybe they get some money from Terrace House or an allowance, a per diem, maybe.
Yeah, like maybe he doesn't need that money to live, but it's just scary to me that he uses the words full time and 2 to 3 days a week. Like
Also,
to him, it's
yeah.
the same.
Yeah, and also I'm really trying to be Spider-Man. What? Seriously?
God,
Yeah,
he brought
seriously.
it up.
And he's
He
like,
straight
yeah.
up said it.
that's good for us if you become Spider-Man.
Yeah, his reaction was just like, well, I mean, that'd be good for us, but I'm like, damn, dude, damn, he
Okay.
could have went in. He could have went
Quit.
in.
Ixnay on the Eiderman spay, dude. Like, drop it. It should never be words coming out of Ruka's mouth to people, especially first impression, saying, I'm trying to be Spider-Man. Like, does he not understand how crazy that sounds?
Like he says that to a future employer.
He doesn't someone that has to decide on whether or not to give him a job. He said that. Like, dude, this is another kind of cat, man. Ruka is
'Cause then
another
you're just-
kind of dude.
Because then you're just left wondering, like, what does that mean? Like, oh, he's trying to become an actor. It's like, what if I like came up to y'all and I was like, I am trying to be Captain Marvel. It's like-
What?
Okay.
Like, but the first question, like the actress. No.
You can
I just want to
cosplay.
appear to be Captain Marvel to anyone who sees me.
I just
I
think you're a
want to
cosplayer.
CGI
Yeah, no.
the hands.
The energies.
That
So-
would be the last conversation we have. If it was me.
Yes.
I was like, okay, bye.
If I'm, what's his name? What's his name again? The guy who's interviewing him, Robert.
Shirakami-san.
If I'm Shirakami-san and I sit down with him and I'm interviewing him, and I get this kid that's just like, I'm quitting my other job. Like, it's already in the works. It's happening. I'm quitting. Then he's like, yeah, I want to work full time, actually 2 to 3 days a week. That's strike two. Then he's like, yeah, I want to be Spider-Man. I'm like, this interview's over, dude.
I mean, clearly, okay, right? Doesn't it stand to reason that clearly Ruka had the job before he ever showed up because of Terrace House? This is a Terrace
100%.
House
That's the only reason he
opportunity.
gets the job.
Because clearly
Yeah.
he can't say anything to get them to not hire him. If he can
Yes.
say this and get the job, there's nothing he can say that's going to get him out of this. So this was the Terrace House bump at work.
One thing I really want to point out, go back and watch this scene again, because pay attention specifically to Shirakami's face, because when Ruka first says, oh, I want to be Spider-Man, the manager looks at him like, he's just a young kid. That's whatever. And then you see him slowly descend into like, oh no, this boy is serious.
Oh, no.
He's like, this is
Oh, no.
real. Like it's this sense of worry, and then like, I guess I'm gonna have to deal with this guy, huh? Because of the Terrace House bump.
Maybe he's relieved it's only 2-3 days a week.
Maybe. Because, I mean, the thing is that the older Ruka gets, the crazier he's going to sound. Like, right now, he's a young kid, like, figuring things out. Like, it's still like an 8-year-old's dream. But at the point when he's going to be like a 30-year-old saying, like, I want to be Spider-Man, then it's like, you might need some help.
Yeah. And at this point, it's almost becoming a Terrace House cliche to have this young teenage or early 20s male that is, stunted growth, right? Like stunted development. Like it's becoming a pattern now. And it's just like, why are we doing this?
I don't like it.
Yeah, it'd be something like on the Terrace House bingo sheet,
Exactly.
But let's move on, because trust me, we have more opportunity to talk about Ruka later. We go to the Nakameguro Grill in Nakameguro, and we're with Emmy and Kaori, and I don't know, this scene felt very short. It felt like the editors chopped off a big part of it, maybe, because in this scene, they're eating pretty good food, and Kaori just tells Emmy about the whole like, Shohei thought I had a boyfriend, or I was about to get married, and I thought Shohei had a girlfriend, and now this is where we're at, and it's like a weird situation, but I want to I just want to talk to him and know that I'm not overstepping my bounds when I'm asking like if he's seeing anyone. And then it ends. Like we don't Emmy doesn't really offer much beyond that. And do you have any thoughts on that, Jack?
Yeah, it's just indicative. Again, it's just kind of driving home the fact that Kaori is just very hesitant and doesn't really seize initiative when it comes to personal issues, right? And so I think that it was kind of brought up, like, didn't Emmy say, like, oh, you should have maybe just brought that up sooner rather than just go through not knowing and not confirming that it has a relationship. So it kind of shows the difference between their personalities.
Yeah. But I don't know.
I mean, I think it's
Go ahead, Daly.
it's kind of a big step for her, though. Like, as abbreviated and like almost awkward this scene was, like her just like blurting that all out.
Mm-hmm.
For Kaori, that's a big step because she usually doesn't like really want to talk about herself, or if she is talking about herself, it's really work related. It's like, oh, I'm working on getting this t-shirt deal, or I'm doing this. It's very rarely about like her personal life. So
Yeah.
good for her.
Yeah,
I saw this as her trying to change.
Good point, because you're right. This is her kind of taking a step out of her comfort zone, because we don't really hear her share things so freely with anyone. So maybe she feels like, now that there's new blood in the house, maybe it's kind of a refresh and a restart to try and do better at that.
Yeah, this could essentially be her new possibly person that she can confide in, which I'm really rooting for that. I'm hoping that, only for Kaori to just feel a little bit more comfortable in the house. I think she might be a little too worried with all of her actions, trying to make sure she's not, stepping on people's boundaries or anything like that, So I'm hoping that she can open up to Emika and kind of just have someone to trust in the house, you know?
Someone,
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Emika being, like, as we said already, like, her being the new person in the house, she feels like she's more comfortable confiding in her. 'Cause it just seems like a whole lot of social anxiety is happening for Kaori. Like, that's just what I get out of this conversation. Like, that's why she was afraid to talk to Shohei about this whole thing and rumors, and that's how rumors permeate. People just don't communicate. And so now I hope that, at least Shohei and Kaori can be good friends out of this, because obviously we've seen later parts that Shohei doesn't have interest.
For sure. So in the next scene, we got to move on, and we're in the first floor with Haruka, Ruka, Emika, and Shohei. And this is a weird one in that Haruka teaches Ruka how to peel an apple with a knife. It felt very condescending. I think the panelists say something similar. Yeah, it's like, this is how you sustain yourself with an apple.
I don't think she was trying to condescend, though. I was genuinely concerned when he had that knife in his hand. I was scared. I was like,
he brought
flinching.
that knife pretty close to his face.
I was like, this. Yeah, he did that too. I was like, this is freaky to me. And what's with all the fruit peeling? I don't want to go down the rabbit hole again,
It's
but
summer.
they're peeling apples now. They're going fucking crazy with the fruit peeling. They're
That's
unnecessary.
what you do in the summer in Japan. You eat a lot of fruit because it's in season.
Stop peeling apples, please.
No.
Put time back in your life for better endeavors.
Then here we get sort of the sequel to the broccoli carbonara, right? In that Pepe comes in and just teaches Ruka how to make arrabbiata, the same thing he made before, right? The very spicy red sauce pasta. And again, Pepe being just like the encouraging dad. He's like the dad who walks in when you're playing video games. Like, are you winning, son? Like, he's kind of that.
Are you winning, son?
In that, like, while Ruka's in the kitchen slaving away over the sauce and tossing the pasta in it, Pepe's like, this one's going to be even better than the one I made, because he's paying attention to this, paying such close attention to the sauce.
Dude, Pepe is chairman of the RDF, the Ruka Defense Force. He is fucking Archbishop Chairman, Grandmaster, Cardinal.
Yes.
Prime Minister.
Yes.
I mean, I will say I'm liking the energy, only in that it's making me like Ruka a tiny bit more. I still think he's hopeless at a lost cause, but this gave me a tiny bit of hope. Maybe.
He learned not to make broccoli and pasta in the same pot with an egg. Thank goodness. That egg comes up in this episode later, by the way.
That lesson.
Yes.
He did.
Baby steps. Ruka steps.
That's it. Ruka steps.
Yes.
Ruka steps are the baby steps of Terrace House.
Yes.
Steps.
And then Pepe brings up that, hey, today was my last day with Keiko Nishi. So now he's done being an apprentice. He has graduated and he is now full-fledged, his own mangaka, he's his own writer. And I don't know, this was cool. This felt like kind of the good version of Tap's birthday party when Tap was sharing his dream, but then forced other people to share their dreams. Instead, this was just Pepe being like, I'm so overflowing with the joy of my dream that I just need to share it real quick with everyone.
And this was another segment where Pepe was winning me over again. He was very relatable here to me and all of us, right, as content creators, when he said that I can't wait for the day where I walk in and my manga is in a convenience store. I think I might cry that day, just knowing that. And it's just like really hit home to me, honestly. It was like a personal thing. I was like, man, I know what that's like to like sit there and try and create and just hope people gravitate to it. And if they don't, just move on to the next thing. But it hit home for me. So it was cool.
Well, yeah, it feels good to have a thing that you made, especially if it's a physical thing, being sold or having people listen to it. I mean, we have people that listen to this show, and it feels great to know that people listen to us. I mean, it's as simple as that. Like, it's a good feeling, man. And we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, if it adds any value to people's day, that's all you can really hope for. So it's awesome.
Exactly.
For sure. And then in this scene, we learn that Ruka is finally going to start his English lessons. And Pepe offers to help, which that's what I want to hone in on here. Because we're going to get to Ruka's English lesson in a moment. We're going to actually get to it in a moment. But the fact that Pepe knows English makes me think, hey, Giuseppe Dorato, if you're listening to the show, feel free to reach out to us real quick. Questions at terracehouspodcast.com. And
let's get it.
We could be on the show.
Friend of the show, Pepe Dorado, maybe?
We'll find out.
I'm just saying, like you could join the ranks of Yusuke Aizawa. He's friend of the show, Yusuke. Friend of the show, Pepe. I'm just saying that could be,
Hey,
they rhyme.
We'll talk about manga. We like manga. I like manga.
We do like
Let's
manga.
do it. Yeah.
And then in this scene, we get to a point where everyone kind of leaves the kitchen except for Shohei and Emmy. And at this point, Shohei asks, oh, hey, Emmy, do you have any dates planned? And Emmy talks about how she's going to the beach with Pepe, which then leads Shohei to ask, what's her type, right? And I believe the panelists interpreted this moment as her kind of dunking on Shohei, because she says she wants someone who's driven, who knows what they want to do and sticks to their job, and that kind of thing, is very motivated, if you will. And the panelists saw it as she watched Shohei's tempura incident moment and was like, he's not for me.
Do you really think she's going that far? 'Cause, I mean, she doesn't know him that well yet, but do you really think she went as far as watching the show, making her judgments on him at that point, and then also telling him the exact opposite of what he is? I don't feel like that's very likely.
I mean, I think that it is already clear that she has watched episodes before. We've established that when she's talked about things in the house and in the room, and just she's aware of what's happening. And the thing about this is, Shohei, going back a few episodes ago, he goes, women just want a guy with a career. Like, no, maybe not necessarily. I mean, I can see why people would think that, though. But I'll say one thing out of my experience in the world. I'll tell you what women don't want. They don't usually say, you know what? I want a guy that has 20 different jobs and isn't committed to any of them. It's something that doesn't typically come out of someone's mouth when they're looking for a life partner. Just my thought.
Yeah. Especially, and we've discussed before, like when he's been like, oh, I just want to be able to like support my family. And it's like, okay, now there's a family in this. Like how are you doing that? How are you supporting them? But I don't think she was like had that specific part in mind when she was saying like what her type was. I mean, maybe she's just being honest and it just happens to like totally not coincide with who Shohei is.
I think it's a coincidence as well how it came off to me.
I don't know. I'm kind of on Yama's side. I think it was a clear like delineation. Like, this is what I'm after. She's very clearly there for love. So it behooves her to be kind of upfront and honest about it, right? If she's really trying to find someone, like let's eliminate the stragglers right away, and get out of that.
I don't know if I can like fully get on the Yama boat here, in that I think to say, like, if someone asks you, hey, what's your type, which by the way is just like an awful question because it's
they
hard
always
to
get
say.
asked it on the show.
Yeah, but I'm talking like in real life. Like if someone were to ask me right now, hey, what's your type, I'd be like, breathing
Water type Pokemon.
They breathe.
Water Pokemon type.
I do like water. I always pick the water starters. So daily, yeah, I get you.
Oh, nice.
But like I think when you ask someone your type, then you kind of you get very amorphous. You're kind of like, you're not exactly sure exactly what to look for in a person. So you say traits that are very intangible. You know, she says things like, I like someone who's striving for something, which is very general. Like, what are they striving toward? Because in a way, you could say Shohei is striving toward a family. But, you know, maybe that's not the same exact thing as he's striving toward being the CEO of a company or something like that, you know?
Yeah, you're right. She wasn't being very specific. Like, I mean, anyone could say, I want someone who's driven and career oriented. I mean, I mean, shit, I want someone like that. I think there's a lot of people who do.
It's broad. She's just saying, I keep saying this, guys. She's just saying, I don't want you, at least what I know about you. She's keeping it broad.
I mean, I just thought this was a much better description than what Haruka did with Yusuke in like a sea animal. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like
Who
a sea
knows?
animal that I can nap with. And it's like,
A cuddle buddy.
okay.
Maybe. I don't know. The more interesting thing about this is what this exchange does to Shohei, which is one of the most interesting things in this entire episode. Do you want to talk about that now?
I kind of want to talk about the Ruka English school thing
Okay.
first.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't want to skip that either. We'll get back to Shohei. Let's go to Nova.
Let's go to Nova in Ebisu, right? Ruka walks in. Lewis walks in. Hi, my name is Lewis, right? In English. And he pulls out this little notebook, this textbook, gives it to Ruka, and is like, okay, we're going to start with this conversation. You read it out loud. What do you want to do this week? Working day.
Working day.
Didn't Lewis have, real quick before we go too far, did he have a Scottish accent? What's out? Shout out to the Scots.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the Irish people listening to our podcast. We love you. Shout out to the UK.
Yes,
It's
but
different, yes.
let's not lump Irish and Scottish in the same category.
I mean, same island, isn't it? Or similar islands? They're around there.
That's what the British want you to think. That's what the English say.
Yeah, I like their accents, okay?
Just colonized when like it's the same island. You
I
can
like
deal with it.
Lewis. His accent is all I'm saying.
But yeah, this for a while here, Ruka struggles with the word weekend. The weekend.
Working day.
Working day.
He keeps saying weeking, working day, and
Working
it's
dead.
working dead, and it's
Walking Dead.
It's repetitive. It's not just once or twice he messed it up and now he's got it. It was like 3 or 4 times that
He
Lewis had
never
to
got
correct
it
him.
right. I think he got it right one time.
Yeah, and then the camera just cuts away from it, which to me was the editors being like, "We're gonna save you the trouble. It's just this for like 30 minutes, so we're gonna cut it short."
I was genuinely confused. Like, was he just struggling or was he trying to make a joke? Because it's like, oh, there is no weekend. Every day is a working day.
That's an expensive
and it just was
joke.
like a very whoosh moment, like over your head. Or was he, because like in my experience of like trying to pronounce foreign words, you have at least some skill set to be able to look at the word and be like, okay, we like that word makes that word sound, etc. And he just like was just like working day.
Okay, before I get lambasted in the comments, I got Google Maps here. I see the Ireland is its own thing, and Scotland is connected to the UK. All right, Sorry, I didn't do my research before, but I like both y'all's accents. Okay, we'll move on. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyways, yes, I agree with you, Daily. I was trying to be unbiased in this situation. I was like, I mean, I know I struggled pretty hard when I was learning Japanese when I was in school, but at the same time, it was pretty easy for me to figure out, like, even if it was a new word that I was learning, like, I knew what each syllable in Japanese sounded like. Yeah, exactly. And so I was just like, I can't tell if he's being serious right now or if he's just actually struggling. And the panel was even like, yeah, I wish we would have got it the first time. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, I will say, just as someone who is, I've studied English a lot. That's kind of what my degree's in, right? English fucking sucks. It's a dumb language. It's hard to learn. And anyone who was born learning it and is their mother tongue, you're lucky because you don't have to learn the world's most difficult language.
I feel lucky.
Yeah. And consider, right, in the word weekend, right, you have 3 E's and all 3 of them make a different sound. The first 2 make an E and then the other one makes an E. Right, like that can be difficult.
That's messy.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say that, oh, why doesn't he get it? He's just a dumb boy, right? The thing I want to focus on here is that he has a teacher sitting 3 feet away from him saying, no, that's weekend. And it has to go through his skull, through his ears 4 times before it even maybe lands a little bit. And even then, I'm not confident if you put that word in front of him tomorrow, he will say weekend.
He just needs practice. He just needs practice. And he needs to take it. He needs to study and do his homework outside of class, too. If he's only doing it during that class, it'll never sink in. He's got to immerse himself in it. Hopefully it happens at that bar. Good vibes.
Yeah, the Good Vibraniums bar.
Yeah. Wakanda Forever is what I would name my Marvel theme bar. Just saying.
What would you name it?
Wakanda Forever.
Wakanda Forever, and then do the shoulder.
You do the shoulder.
Is it, wait,
just shugging the shoulders?
Is it Good Vibrations?
Yeah.
Good Vibrations in that Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch?
Oh my gosh, is there a Marky Mark reference in this week's episode? I'm hyped.
Yeah. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
I'm hyped.
So let's go to the first floor now of the house. We're with Pepe and Kaori, Emmy, and Ruka. It's kind of funny. Kaori and Emmy ask Pepe if he could ever slurp noodles, and he's like, nope, that's a cardinal sin, which I didn't even think about that till then, because, you know, in Italy with pasta, you're not supposed to ever slurp. That's you know, that's rude.
No, that's
a no.
Bad table manners.
Bad table manners, exactly. But in Japan, that's actually exceptional table manners, right? Because it shows, oh, I really like this ramen. Right?
It goes to as well in America. It is considered bad manners too to slurp and eat loudly and chew with your mouth open and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a particularly Western thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was funny just because he comes from like essentially the motherland of pasta, you know?
Yeah. Well, because you got that sauce and it'll stain things. You don't want it, you know, flying around, splatting about.
Yeah, it'll get everywhere.
That's fair.
And then Ruka's third strike this week. Ruka comes out of the bedroom, just woke up, and he shares a little story about how he found a spider bite on his right hand in the same place that Tobey Maguire got it in the Sam Raimi Spider-Verse.
Could it be?
Y'all, I have a story for you.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Story time.
There was a time in my life when I was really into Harry Potter. And I wanted to be a witch. And I wanted to go to Hogwarts. So I had Harry Potter stationery, and this isn't the way it usually goes in my understanding of getting into the prestigious Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, but I wrote a letter, and then I set it outside for an owl to get.
Oh, that's good.
The
How old were
reason
you?
why this is
Were you 18?
okay, yeah. The reason why this is cute and not weird is because I was like 9.
Aw.
My mom was not concerned that I started to indulge in this fantasy, and I was saying, like, you know, you're gonna miss me when I'm at school, but, you know, I'll be learning spells and stuff, and I'll be home for summer. And she's like, okay, sure. It's okay at that age to indulge in that kind of fantasy. Our boy is 20. He's 20 now, right?
Yeah.
And he is starting to see the avenues, the imaginary avenues to becoming Spider-Man, starting with this spider bite. I am so concerned.
I mean, we made jokes about this too. Like, he'll be walking around the house with a black light looking for spiders in the corner to try and bite him, right? We made that joke. And you know what? To be fair, now that you bring that up, you remind me too, Daly. Like, yeah, when I was a little kid, who hasn't done this? Like, I would like reach for the remote control across the room and try and see if I had the force. You know, when you're a little kid, like, who doesn't try that? Be like, oh man, if only I could turn invisible, something like that. But typically, you get past that phase in middle school. Typically.
Well, now I just tell my Google Home to turn the TV on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I do.
That's pretty cool.
We all have the force.
I do that,
now.
but I'm with you guys on this. I mean, when I was 5 years old, I believed in the heart of the cards from Yu-Gi-Oh. When I was 6, I seriously thought if I trained hard enough, I could turn Super Saiyan.
There's that one kid on YouTube who did.
Yeah, you just ended up being really constipated.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Frieza. Anyway, but now I think it's getting to the point with Ruka where we're verging on the scary side. Like, this is it's almost not funny anymore.
It's way past funny. It's crossed the sad line long time ago.
Yeah.
And I just want to put on my nerd glasses here for a minute and I just need to say this because this is just the Marvel nerd fanboy in me. I hope that Ruka knows that just because he was bitten by a spider doesn't mean he's going to start like growing web in his body.
He wants it.
I hope he knows that he has to be smart enough to build a web shooter. Like, does he know that Spider-Man built a web shooter?
Well, it depends on which one you watch, the 2003 version or the 2010 version, whatever that was.
That's like the only version that does that. And then some weird like otherworld stories in Marvel. But like the canonic normal Spider-Man is web shooters. And he hasn't mentioned web shooters once. And that's what makes me worried he'll never be Spider-Man.
He needs to, okay, good point. He needs to be going to college and become an engineer. Yeah, he needs to engineer this himself is the only way it's going to happen. Emika-chan, she does a favor here and is like, you know what, we're all going to be laughing one day because we're going to wake up and he's going to be on the ceiling. Watch us be the wrong ones.
She at least plays along with his little fantasy.
Oh, gosh.
And then in this moment, Pepe asks both Emmy and Ruka what they're up to tomorrow, right? And at first it made me think, oh, is he maybe trying to like organize some kind of, just like hanging out with the people in the house kind of thing, which would be nice, right? I don't think we've gotten that many just like groups of 3 or 4 people hanging.
Rarely.
And then they're both free. And then he says, cool, I've got to work on manga tomorrow and the day after and the day after and the day after. Because guess what, guys? He's a mangaka. And the thing we all guessed about how he's going to be hella busy, coming true, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then
get used to it.
This opens up this moment where Ruka and Emika make plans to go on a road trip. I don't know if that was Pepe's intention, but if so, points to him for that.
Just, I mean, he's serving it up, man. He's serving it up so Ruka can, I guess, try to dunk it. I can't really say that serious.
So when they said that they were going to drive to the the Miura Peninsula,
yeah.
Like, I looked that up again on Google Maps, and I was like, in my head before anything happened, I was like, that seems pretty far. That's south of Yokohama, south of Yokosuka. Like, I was like, that doesn't seem like a day trip if they're truly in Tokyo, and your cat agrees. Which cat is that, Daly?
Mako's like, yeah, this is Mako. And he is appalled at Ruka.
Yeah, who would take a girl that far, especially you don't have to drive that far to get seafood. This is the second time, if we remember, he took Kaori way far away to eat some tamago kake gohan, I think it was.
Tamago kake.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
I don't know. I think Mako would like seafood.
Yes,
definitely.
He enjoys seafood.
That is a day trip, guys. That is a far way to drive, and it ends up being true. That's what happens.
It is very far. He took her to Misaki, Kanagawa, and I want to say I Google Maps this. I Google Maps Tokyo to Misaki. That is an hour and 20 minutes one-way trip in the car.
And okay, the thing that makes this worse is, as we've discussed, it seems like they're not allowed to listen to music when they're driving together because for licensing reasons, they need to record everything they're saying. So you're talking about 3 hours in a silent car with Ruka-san. And it's like, you got to keep the conversations got to be really strong, or the car ride has to be really short. It can't be really long and terrible conversation. It would just be grating to the
but
soul.
That's what we got.
Yeah. I wonder if she slept.
Torture.
Yeah.
See, so my wonder is when we get to the restaurant that they're at, right, in Shoamaru in Misaki, and they're eating seafood. It looks delicious. I love the spread that they have. But Emmy points out here that she's been feeling a little restless, partially because, Terrace House is also new. But then also, she hasn't had a one-on-one conversation with Ruka, and she was a little worried about that. And Ruka's response was that. Pure silence. So
Literally.
awkward, unnecessary silence.
Yeah.
Like he was literally he looked around behind him and was just eating his tempura, just yep. And we know he said oh, I'm comfortable with silence, and that actually is usually a good trait, I think, in people. It's just companionable silence, just letting things hang, not feeling like you need to fill it. But when you are just now getting to know someone, it's super awkward and kind of terrifying.
Yeah, it's just indicative that you don't maybe have enough in common to carry a long conversation, And for me, and I'm sure a lot of people out there, kind of when you're feeling something out, a lot of sparks and a lot of relationships get started by pulling an all-nighter conversation. Yeah. I mean, Like, like hours and hours. Like, wow, we really hit it off there. We didn't leave. We closed that bar down. We should do this again.
Even so, like, if you're with someone that you don't really know at all, and you're just getting through, like, getting to know someone in general, right? Like, even then, you should have a good, solid, at least hour conversation right there. Just kind of going from zero to, like, I kind of am getting acquainted with you now. That's something, like, that could be a longer conversation, but even then, Ruka gave nothing, man. I mean, there was easy conversations to be had there. Yeah.
And I want to point out that we saw this conversation or non-conversation after an hour and a half in the car. It took him an hour and a half plus whatever walking time to get to the restaurant to get to the point where Emika's like, oh, we've never had a real one-on-one conversation before. That should be something that was voiced in the beginning of the car ride, and then they have a whole 90 minutes full of fun conversation.
This is very comparable to the Burger Bagel date with Yudai and Ami. It's not exactly the same. I think Burger Bagel date was worse, but this is evocative of that to me with the way too long road trip.
Yeah, this whole date was just rough to watch. The best thing I got out of it is that Emika is left-handed, which left-handed group rise up. It's pretty great. That's really it. That's the best I've got.
Weird flex, but okay.
Hey, I'm a lefty. I got to be proud of the few things I'm good at.
We learned exactly nothing new, and the silence is happening. I'm like, Ruka, please don't do this.
God, he's
Ruka for the love of
the worst.
I think it's like indicative of like not considering another person's point of view. Like this is like indicative of like how he's, the youngest and he was babied and like spoiled by his parents and stuff. Because it's like, you got to be thinking if you're just sitting there in that silence, usually it's like, oh, this must be pretty awkward for the other person. I should talk to them. But he's just like in his own world, totally fine, chomping on his food and expecting, I guess, maybe even expecting her to carry the conversation. And it's like, that's not a nice expectation to put on other people.
Yeah, and the car ride, again, just to revisit this, would have been better, and they could have learned a little bit about each other without exchanging words if they're allowed to play music and like exchange playlists. Like, it could have been fun, but they can't do that with Terrace House.
Okay, guys, I think I have a breakthrough. Thought here. That might convert me to the Ruka Defense Force.
Uh-oh.
What? After all of this, the moth and everything? Crazy.
Think about it. Okay, hold on. Let's say you knew Peter Parker. Let's say Spider-Man does really exist, right? And you knew Peter Parker. You wouldn't suspect that he's Spider-Man, right? Because he doesn't exhibit Spider-Man-like qualities, right? Wouldn't you say that perhaps a 20-year-old with a child's imagination that he will one day be Spider-Man, isn't that a pretty good disguise for someone who is Spider-Man?
He's definitely, no one's fucking suspecting shit. He's done a great job at that to that point.
Exactly. So he could really be Spider-Man and just is like, throwing smoke, right? Now,
so we're all just bamboozled, like.
Right. And that's why I'm proposing during this date. The reason he's been so quiet in the car is because he's like, I could just be swinging there. Instead, I got to use this piece of shit. And then during the date, he's like, oh man, Dr. Octopus is wreaking havoc downtown and I'm here eating. I should be out there. But if I leave now, it's suspicious.
Yeah, maybe he looked at his Google Maps and he's like, he saw the Miura Peninsula. And he's like, if I swing there, I can get there in like, I don't know, 20 minutes.
Yeah, he has a special Google Maps.
He didn't realize, like, oh shit, I didn't set it to like driving time.
Yeah, it's driving, walking, swinging.
So swinging time, web swinging.
He modded Google Maps for himself.
Yeah,
that date sucked. That's the end of that.
It was really bad. It was the worst date. I had to come up with a fun story to make it interesting. So let's go to the boys' room now, where we have Shohei and Ruka, and they're kind of debriefing. Ruka says that the drive was a little long. No shit. It was 3 hours.
3 hours there and back.
But he didn't really have much to say about the date. He was just like, yeah, the food was good. No, yeah.
The end. I mean, this is already after the fact that he showed her his hellscape, right? So I just don't think.
Yes.
I mean, she was bored. She needed something to do, but I don't think she's considering him at all for romantic prospects at all. And this just kind of basically confirmed that. This was the nail in the coffin for their love prospects.
That sounds so wrong. Showed you might want to see my hellscape.
My hellscape. That's like a My Chemical Romance song.
Yeah.
Show you my hellscape.
Oh dang. Show you.
Yes, it is emo.
Yeah. But then we flip this scene around now where Shohei is expressing his interest in Emmy, and it's like, oh yeah, she's really cute, isn't she? Remember when she asked me for a beer? Iconic. Classic.
It was a moment. Now it's proven to be a moment, and that was the turning point for him where he fell.
Yeah. That was the moment where you realize, like, oh, she is really cute, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And he does think she smells good, so she's 2 for 2 for him.
Mm-hmm.
So then that leads us into the next scene where it's just Shohei and Emika downstairs, and Shohei's like, hey, did you grab lunch yet? You want to get lunch? And so they go to the soba restaurant called Sorin in Sasazuka, I think.
Sasakusa.
If I may,
yeah, yes.
This is the second time Kenny here was the first offender, but I'm just not a fan of the long pants or long jeans or sweatpants, whatever, with the flip flops on a date. It's a weird thing. Shohei was doing it. I was like, I don't know, maybe if you're trying to impress a girl, maybe I would say, don't do that, but that's just me.
Yeah, Shohei seems like the kind of guy who wears his heart on his sleeve. I don't think he obfuscates anything for anyone. That's the vibe I get. I'm not saying that's necessarily the best thing to do, but that's just the feeling I feel with him.
I mean, we're used to seeing him wear that shirt with the naked woman on it that's grabbing herself.
He doesn't care.
He's worn that multiple times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He wears that shirt with a really big pocket, like the absurdly big chest
Oh my god,
pocket.
it's like more than half of his chest.
Yeah, it's a comically large pocket.
Yeah. But they're in that restaurant, and Shohei asks if there's anyone who's really different in real life compared to how she saw them on TV. And then pivots it to him. He's like, yeah, I'm really different, right? Like,
he was like,
better
wait,
in
it's not
person,
me?
right?
He asked her, expecting her to say, well, you. In fact, he goes, well, it wasn't me. That was, man, he always does that.
Yeah.
He always points it back to him somehow. It's a pattern over the last 17 episodes, whatever.
Right. But this is, I think, the first time we're seeing him earnestly seem like he's going for someone, right? I think the panel picks up on this too, where they assume that maybe he hasn't just been super interested in anyone in the house until now. Because here in this scene, he's very, he's very like, I'm looking for love when I'm crushing on someone. It makes me want to work harder, better, faster, stronger. And I'm not into Haruka, so that kind of opens the door for other people in the house. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
That was a significant line. I can't remember the quote here, but it was something like, I'm not into her appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't like her appearance.
He's
is what he
talking
says.
like physical appearance. It would seem pretty plain there to me. And the expression that Emmy makes was pretty priceless. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
She's like, I can't believe he just said that.
Yeah.
Which I was kind of taken aback too. I was like, I can't believe he just straight up said it.
Wow.
He just straight up said he doesn't like the way she looks, but Emika's like, I guess it can't be helped. We can't help who we're attracted to, I suppose.
That was just a tactful way of skirting around the awkwardness in that conversation on Emmy's part.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, I don't. This date was definitely better than the Ruka Emmy date. I don't really know
low
how much.
bar, yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, but
I don't know. I don't know
what
what are the takeaways here.
Yeah, there
I'm
wasn't much
confused about.
The takeaway is that Shohei is invigorated by this. We're seeing him now put effort forth that he hasn't before. This is a very significant moment for Shohei. And also, how dumb do I look now after that last prediction I made last week at the end? I thought him and Kaori were going to be hot and heavy. And now they have, it's completely fizzled. Could not be more off base with that. It seems like it's not going anywhere. It's not going to happen. And Tori-chan said that too. She's like, yeah, I want him and Kaori to go out. And it's like, it ain't happening. She ain't the one. I think you said she ain't the one. And it's really sad. Now, I kind of feel bad for Kaori, but at the same time, no one got him excited enough to really focus in on his career. So it maybe wasn't a matter of him being stubborn, or maybe it was a matter of him being stubborn, but it was also a matter of motivation for him. He didn't find the right person to kindle the flame, to get him to focus and do what he needs to do to find a proper wife or girlfriend or whatever. And now we are in a new chapter, new phase. He's invigorated. This is exciting for him. Sad for Kaori.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. We'll get to it at the end of the episode, but pretty much all of his prospects with Kaori seem under the water, dashed. They're just done. It's over for them.
I'm sad for that too.
we'll get there in a second, but first we have that little scene in Jinbocho where Pepe goes to the Shogakukan office. I think it's her main branch office, perhaps, where he meets with his editor, I would say, is Fumitoshi Nameno, where they talk a little bit about the manga. And for me, this was really cool because I've been reading manga since I was like 10, and to see this little bit of behind the scenes, how is it that a mangaka goes from here are my first drafts of a print, and then the editor's like, I like this idea, can we blow this up more, or can we minimize this, can we rearrange these panels? I thought it was kind of cool.
I thought it was insanely interesting.
Yeah,
the iterative process of how that creative product.
Yeah, and some
made.
of the stuff he says too, and it's the literal actual cutting room floor. The dude whips out scissors and starts cutting up panels on his pages.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is too, or I guess kind of the crazy thing is, he's like, is there any way we could get you to do 6 pages, 3 days? So each day we want you to do 6 pages each, 18 pages total per chapter.
Seems like a lot. 6 pages.
That's a lot of work.
That's a lot.
My goodness.
That's a shit ton of work.
All day. That's over 8 hours a day, I would imagine. And
definitely.
And what he brought in there, what he was cutting up, those weren't like finalized drafts. Those were like his previs, right? Just like this is
right.
Thumbnails.
That's what I thought.
Right.
Thumbnail sketches.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was still really cool to see. And I like how they had a little bit of time here to turn it back on Terrace House. And his editor asks, hey, so how are you liking Terrace House so far, right? And this is a fun thing I picked up on. When the guy asks Pepe, do you have any dates lined up? He only mentions the Emika date. Not anything with Haruka.
I didn't notice that.
I thought that was very telling. Very telling.
Emika.
Especially since, he was the one that asked out Emika, whereas Haruka was the one that was like, oh, remember that Italian cafe? We should go there. And he even made a point. He was like, it's not really Italian. It's just kind of European looking. And she's like, but let's go.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Emika-chan has the eyes of the gentleman in the house at this present time. I think that beer inquiry is the fulcrum of all this. I think she got both their attentions with that night.
Much like Tokui said, her love simmers like sous vide.
Oh, how dare she infuse all that flavor?
And Pepe
what a simile.
is steeping in it right now. And Shohei's steeping in it right now.
Woo. I kind of see it because the thing about her is she has a quiet confidence. And I can see how that is attractive. She's self-assured herself. She's lets people come to her. You know, she's not out chasing, but she is putting the vibes out there that she's there for love. And she kind of just dropped it there and just is herself now. You know, and that's what's attractive, I think, to the guys. So speaks volumes, and it's a contrast to what we've seen in the house. You know, she's not like any of the girls so far in the house.
Yeah,
She's not like other girls.
She's not like other girls.
She's just very cool. You know, that's what I like about her. It's like we don't know that much about her yet necessarily, but whenever I do see her on the screen, it's just I don't have many questions about her. I'm just this is what she's presenting, and it's not mysterious, it's not weird, but it's just here she is. This is Emika.
And I think this comes with experience because she seems well experienced, especially with older gentlemen. Maybe too much older when she was 14 and the dude's 21.
God,
but I ain't trying to.
Oh yeah, that's
skews me out so bad.
She's experienced though, you know, and she doesn't have. Like she said, she doesn't have a particular type. She just wants someone to be focused. And damn it, if Shohei isn't going to try and fill that void, it seems like holy crap.
Ooh,
it seems like he's trying. So how do you guys feel about Emika right now? Like as someone in the house, like what's your general feelings? Because I feel like I'm kind of lukewarm on her. Like I don't feel strongly any which way.
Yeah, I don't know enough about her. I want to see. I know she's off of classes right now, but I mean, I think what she said, like about how she, you know, wants to do something with their life that helps other people, and how that for her that translated into flight attendant. I think that's really interesting. I think seeing more of like what she's up to would be interesting, other than like her dating history and how she can wear a strappy swimsuit.
Personally, I don't know her that well. I don't think anyone does yet. But I do know enough to know that she has a pretty funny sense of humor when she's making light of the fact, like, you know, hey, he might be on the Ruka might be on the roof on the ceiling here any day. You know, I just think she has a good just general vibe about her. So I'm not seeing any red flags, really any yellow flags even yet. I can see why the guys just want to kind of go on dates and get to know her a little bit better, because there isn't really too much to dislike so far.
Yeah, I think I just like how cool she is. She doesn't really seem like someone who gets flustered a lot in any social conversation.
Yeah.
Like pretty much every conversation she's had, whether it's with a group or just with one guy on a date, right? I never feel like she's floundering or having to worry about what to say. I guess maybe except around Ruka, but I think everyone worries about what to say around Ruka.
Yes.
But she always just seems ready to go and have fun in a conversation. But she always seems like she has sort of not an upper hand, let's say, but she's prepared for almost anything, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. She
like
seems
that.
generally pretty comfortable in the house so far, which is great. Right?
Yeah. And she smells great.
And she
And she
smells
smells great.
So I hear. Yeah.
great.
And then we get to the final scene of this episode where Haruka wants to chat with Shohei, because apparently it's been a while since they have, right?
That's
And
the
this
place where they go to like kind of seclude themselves. It seems like, hey, let's not talk in the house. Let's go up to the third floor.
Yeah. Let's go up to the roof where there are still cameras up there.
Yeah.
So they go up there, and this conversation, it has three main points here, right? One, Shohei pretty much shuts down any sense of him going after Kaori, right? Haruka asks, hey, are you into Kaori still? And he
Sad.
says, I don't know, this is a little iffy for me, because he says it's always been a thing about timing. Like their timing has never worked out. And I'm like, bitch, Emika just walked into the house. That's why your timing hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
Because if Emika wasn't there,
Because otherwise he has all the time in the world. They're both at Terrace House. They both just confess to each other that they like each other. What's the timing? What's the problem with timing here?
I got to be honest with y'all. I disagree with this take, because they've had 16 weeks and it's gone stale. Like there is very much a timing window of opportunity. I think particularly in personal, intimate relationships, timing is very important. So I think that they had their time. He kind of put stuff out there, but as Kaori stated earlier in the cafe with Emmy, is that she was always hesitant, and even though they didn't know enough about each other, they heard enough rumors to make them hesitate enough. I mean, has that not happened to you guys? I think in your personal lives, maybe. I'm trying to get too personal, but I can think of times, certainly like you talk about the one that got away. If you've ever had one of those, really what you're referring to is the timing never worked out. It wasn't like, oh, well, I like them, then I didn't like them. It was like, oh, well, we like each other and we still like each other, but it just for whatever reason didn't work out. Usually that reason is timing, at least in my experience. So it's sad, because I want Kaori and Shohei to get together. But yeah, you're right to your point, Robert. Now that Emmy is there, it's kind of over. It's done now. He's focused to newer ventures.
So the reason I don't buy the timing thing is because I agree with you in that, yes, 16 weeks is a long time to be holding on to will they, won't they, right? Like at that point, love fizzles out, or at least the interest and infatuation can fizzle out. But I would argue that they renewed that timer when they revealed to each other, like, I'm not engaged, I'm not dating anyone. And they had this conversation that rekindled the idea of, they are free, so maybe we could make something work here. They even end that conversation on let's get drinks. That's the timing.
Yeah.
The drinks. That's the time for them to, like you said, ravage each other like a rack of lamb, I think. I don't remember
hope
the metaphor
so.
you
Like
used.
a hungry lion, a caged lion getting released to eat a rack of lamb, essentially.
And
Yes,
now
that.
Now a juicier rack of lamb has come down, and its name is Emika Mizukoshi. This is bad. I don't want to objectify women. I'm not going to use this metaphor anymore. She's not
already did.
important
You
to
just
me.
think she's a hunk of meat, Robert? What the hell?
Yeah, you misogynist, racist, homophobe.
Point being, though, the timing was perfect for them because they had this date where it's like all of the awkward stuff's already been laid out. I like you too. Let's go on a date. Right? That's all settled. And now Emika is in town, and they still have this date presumably on the table. So when they go get drinks, is it going to be like Kaori saying, hey, so, we like each other. Do you want to, you want to do anything about that? And he's like, actually, I got a date with Emika.
So in retrospect now, 2020 hindsight, it's clear that there's no more kindled flame between Shohei and Kaori. That ship has sailed, right? It's just not going to happen for whatever reason. And so whether it's timing, I think what this is showing is that when they said, yeah, let's go get drinks, that seemed to prove to be much more lip service than actual action being taken, because they didn't have any next steps. They were just trying to, maybe, because Kaori's the one that said that, let's go get drinks. Conspiracy theory here, maybe she was doing what Kaori be doing and just say the thing to make it comfortable so nothing's awkward.
Oh shit.
In the conversation. That's what she does, guys. It's just a theory, but shoulder shrug.
I don't know. The fact that Kaori talked about like the he said she said mix up with Emmy kind of speaks to me that she's like, and now we're going to go out and get drinks and see where that goes. Like, as otherwise she could just drop it and never talk about it again because it's not relevant. Because nothing's going to happen. So for me, I saw it as the expectation was still that we're going to see where this goes, see if it develops, because she still has the expectation that like he confessed and was like, I'm still really interested in you.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
And
this situation sucks.
I have predictions here now. I'm revising my predictions because I was so clearly wrong last week. I think that I think that Ruka is just laughable. Emmy does not even consider him a man. We all saw this coming. I think that there could be a love triangle now between Pepe and Shohei. They're going to be cool. The two dudes will be cool, but they're going to go out on dates and compete. Maybe on the next episode, we'll see both dates. And then she's going to be leaning one way or another. I think. Or
maybe Shohei and Pepe will go out.
See, you can try, but that's not even close to happening. It's not even in this.
They love each
atmosphere.
other.
That's my headcanon, and I will stand by it.
Hope in one hand, shit in another. See which one fills up first. But anyways, what is going to happen, though, is that sadly, by the way, this breaks my fucking heart to say this, as a member of the Kaori Defense Force, Kaori is going to be left in the dark, out in the cold, whatever metaphor you want to use. Shohei is going to say it to her plainly. This isn't going to happen, or they're just not going to do anything, and she's going to get sad. I think she might leave after this, because I actually thought she was going to leave a couple episodes ago because she was sad. She was crying because she didn't have anyone to bond with. You know, Robert brought up what a big point that was, that she didn't have anyone to trust in the house, which was a huge point there. But then also she just had that big life event happen with that great show, that great gallery showing, right? Typically what we see in Terrace House, as we've known after all these seasons, is that when a big life event happens, someone achieves a goal, that's usually an anchor point to, okay, my time in Terrace House has ended now. So I kind of saw this coming, and the one thing keeping her there in the house for me was her and Shohei. If this isn't a thing, I think her days may be numbered. Sadly.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess just what bothers me the most is that Shohei's using timing as an excuse here. Like, I get the vibe that maybe, he's not interested in Kaori anymore. That's fine. But I would rather him just be a straight shooter, like what he wants in the woman he wants to date. Just be a straight shooter and say, like, I'm just not interested in her anymore. It's not the timing. It's just I've moved. Well, he did say I've moved on, but
it can be both. Yeah. I think it can be both, though, Robert. To be fair, I think it can be. Well, listen, we had 16 weeks, nothing happened. I'm already feeling all these new feels for this new girl after 2 weeks. This is where this is now. The timing is right for this. Timing is stale for the other one. I think it could be a combination of both. To be fair to the man.
Fair enough. But
alternate devil's advocate theory. Haruka, he sits down with Haruka, has this conversation. Remember, at one point, he was super into Haruka. Goes to the bar, Haruka. Sorry, my Midwestern accent is coming through.
Haruka. Nino Kuni.
Haruka. Yeah, Nino Kuni.
Anyway, so what are you saying with Haruka?
So my conspiracy theory right now is he tells Emika, like, yeah, I don't really like her appearance. And then he tells Haruka, like, I don't really like Kaori either. And so is he still trying to go for Haruka?
I'm lost.
No. Wait. No, he's not.
Wait.
What? I don't think
Colin,
he's
are you trying to say that like he's like playing them? He's like, oh, I'm not into Haruka, and then it's like he tells Haruka, oh, I'm not into Kaori, so that he thinks he's leaving every girl with the impression that it's like, oh, maybe it's me he likes. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe.
Or are you saying he's trying to neg Haruka through Emika?
The negging tactic.
I don't know what his game is, man. And I'm just saying that, like, that's what he said, and it's something to deduct. I don't know if he's that much of a mastermind. He's kind of an idiot, because if that's his sort of through line here, because whoever is, like, everyone's going to see this eventually.
Yeah,
I take it at face value.
game.
His statement that he's getting a lot of sex right now randomly, I take that at face value.
There was that too.
I think that's true. He said it's true.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to put a lot of stock into how smart he is, because this man ran into a glass door and lost a tooth. So, like, that's
That
the
could
man
happen
we're
to
dealing.
anyone, man. Windex is the thing, okay?
Windex is the ultimate tooth killer.
Dentists hate this.
Yes.
I don't know, or he could just be.
One weird trick to clean your glass.
But he could be just saying fuck it, and he's going for Emika anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Interesting.
There's that.
I think we're starting to make mountains out of molehills here. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on the next episode.
This is the part where we finally know why they're calling it. This is not a place to slack, because you can't be complacent in Terrace House. You got to be achieving goals, and that's the final thought of the episode.
Yes, this is where Haruka says that, you know, she really likes Pepe's energy. He is very vibrant. I think just in our show too, he's kind of perked us up, right? Like, because he's such a force in the house. And she mentions this, and then it's like, it's made me realize that the original cast, have gone very lazy since we've been in the house. And Shohei agrees and says this is no place to slack off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why are we on Terrace House otherwise? Is basically what he says.
They're worried about, and I think rightfully so, having their complacency leech on to Pepe and Emmy, who are both very driven and focused. Emmy hasn't started school yet, but I assume that when school kicks back in, she's going to be all in on the books. Pepe is obviously super, super busy. He's just trying to have 2 days off.
Yeah.
You know,
and teach his new son how to make pasta.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's an interesting note to end this episode on. It's kind of a little bit sad, but hopefully, you know, for the next few episodes.
We got 2 dates, including a beach date coming up. I'm pumped.
Beach date.
I will say, after ending this episode on, like, yeah, you're right, I shouldn't be slacking off. I should be working hard and achieving my goals. Then for Netflix to pop up and say, we're about to play episode 18, Bros Before Hoes. Would you like to watch it?
Bros
I was like, okay,
Before
hold on.
Hoes. What a title. I can't
Shohei
wait.
and
I'm not ready.
Pepe
Shohei and Pepe.
going on a date. Going on a date.
Oh, that's how you guys read this? I just thought of them saying, hey, being friendly while they're dating. Okay, you guys got your own thing going on here with the Shohei Pepe thing.
Yeah, because we're right.
Oh, you're talking about, you think they're gonna have a friendly competition?
No, I think they're gonna have a friendly conversation where they're not gonna be competitive with each other. Let the best man win, kind of thing. That's what I think this is gonna be. Not like, hey,
I love you, man.
fuck or don't fuck Emmy. Let's date, bro. You like me, I like you. I don't think it's gonna be like that, like you guys are saying.
Here's the thing.
I do.
I believe it's gonna be what you say, where they're gonna talk it out and just be like, hey, it's pretty obvious we're both into Emmy, so let's just, you know, be nice to each other about it.
Yeah.
But I want them to fuck. That's where I'm at.
Like they get mad at each other, and then they start pushing each other, and then it turns into like holding each other's shoulders, and then slowly leaning in, and then
it's furious makeout session.
Yeah, it's angry kiss.
Angry.
I don't get why is this the thing that you guys leech onto harder, stronger, faster than any other relationship in Terrace House history? Why is this the one? What made this
the chemistry's
the biggest
there?
One? Really?
Harder, faster, stronger, built to last longer, Jack.
I don't even think you guys really believe this, by the way. I'm calling all three out on your bullshit. I think you all three are bullshitting the entire internet with this theory, and I don't know why.
Jack, you're right, but we're going to keep doing it.
Just leave it in so hard on you.
Yeah, because it's just frustrating you, Jack.
I'm not mad. I'm just like, I just want to have a serious conversation about the show is all I'm saying.
You butthurt, bro?
I'm not hurt. It's just
I say this is probably a good place
a lot
for
of
us.
time to this on this show.
I say this is a good place
Shall
for us
we go to bed?
To wrap this show.
Yes, let's go to bed.
That finishes our thoughts on episode 17 of T20. If you have any questions, comments, or theories, or who you think is going to win the the possible love triangles that are brewing in the house. You can email any and all of those things to us at questions@terracehousepodcast.com. Or you could join our lovely Discord server. The link is in the description below or in the show notes, where you can chat with us and other fans of Tadaima and Terrace House. And it's a lot of fun. And you kind of have a sort of direct line to us where you can ask us questions, like Adam from our Discord. Shout out Adam.
Hey.
Where he had a question for us. If you were in Terrace House, would you watch the show as well? Seems like it could lead to awkwardness and drama. Always amazed me when there are scenes with them all watching in the playroom. Daily, you have a thought?
Yeah, I had a thought about this because the way that they did it in OND, I feel is very different from this season, in that everyone would get together and watch the episode, and then like real time you're cringing and being like, oh my god, I said that, and we had the whole thing with Yui crying. I think it's smart for just do it on your own. Just watch the episode on your own, maybe comment on it and be like, hey, I saw that you like, there's no reason to bring it up unless it's a huge big thing where it's like, hey, you said that my laundry stinks or something like that. Like,
that's the big deal.
There's no reason to confront it otherwise. So I think to mitigate embarrassment, I would watch the episode on my own, but I'd want to watch.
I think what Kaori did was pretty smart. It was like, hey, I'd rather you hear this from me than see it on the show. This is what was said. Because you got to know what you're putting out there too. And you got to be conscious of it. You know, I think it's impossible to really 100% just be yourself and forget the cameras are there. You know, maybe something will slip out, but like, I just think you have to be conscious again of what's put out there. But I would, if I was in the house, there's no way, it's impossible that I couldn't watch a show while I was in the house. I could say to myself now, like, no, I won't, but I know myself enough to know, hell yeah, I would. Maybe, and it kind of makes sense they maybe watch the first one all together just as a group, because it's kind of like a momentous thing. It's the first time all of them are on a show together, you know, nationally in Japan. But then, you know, there were definitely some awkward moments. I remember Haruka cringing in the corner like, oh no, can't watch this part. So I could see why they maybe broke off into their own, you know, watching on their cell phone on the train maybe instead.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, well, first of all, I already hate listening to myself talk. Sometimes.
Good thing we podcast where you don't have to deal with that.
Like listening to myself, just I'm very self-conscious when I listen back to myself. I still do it every once in a while, but so seeing myself on camera wouldn't necessarily like it, but I would do it out of necessity to kind of like check myself and see what else I guess other people had to say, because my curiosity would get the better of me. And to Jack's point, 100% the fact that you're able to watch the show that you're on is kind of like a truth serum, right? Like, you're going to try to be as straight shooting as possible, knowing that whatever you say, other people in the house are probably going to see it.
Yeah.
You know?
See, I would be the monster in the house that would want to watch it with as many people in the house together at the same time every
Robert,
week as
how
possible.
dare you?
Because to me, being on Terrace House is fun. The idea of it. It's this idea of like, yeah, we're playing a game. You know, and not that Terrace House, I don't want to believe it's a completely fake thing, but at the same time, you're all sharing this same experience together of, we're in this bizarro world zone where we're on a TV show together and trying to date each other, but not. And there's just like this thin veneer of moral compass that's stopping it from being an orgy all the time. So let's just watch what we do and have fun.
Stopping?
Dude,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's it.
can
That's
we
the
have
only
that
thing.
show? If we're making this fucking
Went
canon,
from
can we
1
have
to
an
100
orgy?
so quickly.
All right. I didn't realize the sexual tension was that high between everyone.
Everyone, especially Shohei and Pepe. No, but
Yes.
I just think, you know, it's all kind of like they're playing characters almost. And I think that's just a lot of fun just to see and join, like, come together and talk about like what it is everyone did that week, 5-6 weeks ago, when hopefully they're pretty far removed from whatever drama happened that week. You know, so that's the energy I would bring into the house.
All right, you masochist.
There we go.
All right. Madman, absolute madman.
Yeah, but on that note, I think that concludes this episode. We'll be back next Tuesday to talk about episode 18 of Tokyo 2019-2020, Bros Before Hoes. So glad I got to say that for a real reason on this show.
Hashtag Shohei 2020.
Shohei 2020. This has been Tadaima. Thanks for listening. Itekimasu.
If you enjoy our show, please like, comment, and subscribe, and ding the bell to receive notifications when we publish new content. Follow us on social media and check out our brand new Discord server linked in the description below.